Breaking news, Iran's parliament voted to suspend the country's cooperation with UN nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency. That is just one of the headlines in the ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Inspectors have remained in Iran throughout the 12-day conflict with Israel and were reportedly ready to verify inventories of nuclear material. It's unclear if or when their work will resume. Jeff Hogan is in the live center with a look at other top headlines from the Middle East.
Yeah, one of the major points of contention so far has been how destructive the bombs were that were dropped on the nuclear sites in Iran. You can see an early U.S. intelligence report suggesting that it only set them back in their nuclear program by 3 to 6 months or so. President Trump and the White House, battling back on those initial talks about how much damage was done, saying it was total obliteration. Meantime, President Trump is at the NATO meetings right now. This is his first NATO summit since he became president in the second term. And NATO reached an agreement that was interesting. All nations boost their defense spending to 5% of their gross domestic product, leaving out Spain, but all others there. And Trump initially made the demand, expected to be finalized at the summit. Qatar, by the way, also just came out and said that the momentum created by the ceasefire is giving them impetus to possibly start Gaza talks over once again.
Around 5:20 a.m. in Israel this morning, it did not look like peace had a chance.
President Trump announced his ceasefire just a few hours ago, but these sirens mean that Iranian missiles are inbound.
By 5:40, one of those Iranian missiles slammed into an apartment building in Beersheba in southern Israel. It was one of the deadliest attacks of the war against civilians.
And this is where the missile exploded, destroying this entire floor of an apartment building, killing at least 4 people, and maybe killing the ceasefire before it even takes hold.
As recovery efforts were underway, Iran fired more missiles, this time after the ceasefire was in effect. Israel quickly vowed revenge for both attacks, scrambling its jets, until President Trump publicly rebuked both sides.
I'm not happy with Iran either, but I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land.
Israeli jets dropped a bomb on a radar station outside Tehran and turned back. Just a few hours later, President Trump's ceasefire began to hold. The streets of Tel Aviv sprung back to life. A partial state of emergency banning school, work, and gatherings was lifted. And in Tehran, while Iran's military and nuclear program have been severely damaged, people poured into the streets for celebrations, cheering that Iran stood up to the U.S. and Israel and remained standing.
Israel is opening back up again. Here in Tel Aviv, the cafes are now full, the beaches are opening, flights are being put back on at the airport after Israel quickly lifted a semi-state of emergency now that Iranian missiles are no longer being fired at this country. And for the first time in a long time, there are no air raid sirens here. In Iran, they are also celebrating. People are out on the streets in Tehran, even though Iran was damaged badly militarily, its nuclear program set back. But Iranians are saying the fact that they were attacked by the joint force of the United States and Israel, and we're still standing and firing to the end, is a kind of victory. But there are questions here in Israel, there are questions around the region. Will this last, or is there another round coming? There are disputed reports of how damaged the Iranian nuclear program really was. Was it set back and obliterated, as President Trump says, or just a matter of months, as some early intelligence assessments now suggest? There is also the lingering question about what happened to about 1,000 pounds, 880 pounds of enriched uranium enriched to 60%. President Trump says that it was likely destroyed, that Iranians wouldn't have a time to have removed it from their nuclear facilities. The Iranians have said that they did remove it, so that is also an open question, raising concerns across the region. Richard Engel, NBC News, Tel Aviv.